Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer today. I'm the College and Career Coordinator at Windsor High School, north of Sonoma County. And I would like to just introduce all of our panelists and welcome them, and also welcome any students, teachers, and maybe a couple parents who might be joining us today. Our topic is going to be public safety and public service careers. And we have some great panelists today that can share their stories with you, and then also we'll be able to have some questions. As a reminder, the chat is disabled on this one on our presentation today, so please enter any questions you might have in the Q&A. And Kim Handel from Maria Carrillo High School, she will be monitoring the Q&A and able to get all the questions in either somehow during the session or at the end of the session. We'll have a few minutes to go over some of those questions. So I want to introduce our panel today. We have Captain Rickert from Santa Rosa City Police. I'm sorry, Santa Rosa City Fire. She's a fire captain. We also have from the U.S. Coast Guard, Petty Officer Glazer, who's an operations specialist. We have Laura Gilbert. She's our senior program manager for AmeriCorps National Service. And then we have Jessica Sotoyo, who is a senior enrollment counselor at Cal State Maritime Academy. And so I want to start with Captain Rickert. She had an amazing event this past Saturday, so well attended by over 300 individuals, and all the agencies that participated in the Women's Public Safety Day, I'm sure got a lot of valuable information and experience. But I'd like her to also just start off by talking a little bit about her career, her current position, how she came to have an interest in this area. So, Corey.
Yeah. So my name is Corey Rickert, and I am a fire captain for Santa Rosa Fire Department. I've been with Santa Rosa for 15 years. I started with Cal Fire immediately out of high school. I had 6 seasons there. I got into the field by becoming a fire explorer when I was in high school. So I was exposed to the fire service starting around age 15. There's a numerous explorer posts in this county, and Santa Rosa is actually working towards starting their own post as well. My favorite part of my job is doing things like this, or the Women's Day event, is making a positive impact and having the ability to make change. So we can go out in the community and I can run calls from a fire to somebody getting locked out of their car, and I can make their day a better experience than when we first showed up. Try to think of what else would you like me to cover in the intro? I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
But yeah, that's it. The fire service is a really, really varied place, and we have a lot of different opportunities. And I think that's my favorite, is we get to make positive change and do a lot of different tasks.
Sounds great. Thank you and welcome. Petty Officer Lopez, a little bit about how you came to, what sparked your interest in going to the Coast Guard, and what was the path that led you to your current position?
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So my name is Petty Officer Lopez, and I've been in the Coast Guard for about 12 years now. I definitely didn't think it was going to be a lifetime career, but I've just absolutely loved everything it's given me and everything I've been able to be a part of. So as far as what led me to it, I basically wanted to move out of my family's house, and I wanted college benefits, and I wanted some adventure. I didn't really realize just the impact it would have on me. And my favorite part of being in the Coast Guard is the travel, the impact that we have, on our country, as far as all of the missions that we do, everything from law enforcement to search and rescue to, saving the ducks from oil spills. So it's been a really fun adventure for me. And right now I'm a recruiter in the Alameda area, Bay Area. And my normal job, I'm an operations specialist. So I mostly deal with search and rescue, law enforcement, intel, and communications. So it's been a super fun ride, and I'm definitely doing 20, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, that's an amazing variety. When you just think about the Coast Guard, you don't really think about all those other jobs within it.
Yeah.
But let's go to Jessica for a minute if we could, because she ties in so well to the Coast Guard, being with the Maritime Academy and that connection that she has. So Jessica, how did you get to where you are? And a little bit about what the Maritime Academy can offer, especially, people who want to go into the Coast Guard or any of the other maritime careers.
Well, hi, everyone. It's actually my job is also in recruiting. I share the opportunities that Cal Maritime and in our 7 different majors have to offer, which really tie into all of the professions and organizations that are listed here, including AmeriCorps and the fire service, because we cover logistics, we cover international relations, we cover government work. So going into, whether it's at the local county government office or the state government office, or all the way up, of course, to the federal government, we teach students how to work on or around ships. And there are so many different job descriptions just across the maritime industry. And then further up the supply chain as well. And a lot of folks, when they hear supply chain, they go, what is that? And I always tell students, basically, when you want to go buy anything at all, it has to get to you somehow. And that process of getting to you is the supply chain. So everything is kind of connected. My job description specifically is in higher education, but I have been recruiting for the Maritime Academy for the last 10 years and actually went to the Maritime Academy. So we have the second best uniform. I am going to say, I do think the Coast Guard has the best uniform of all the branches. Ours is a little bit more naval looking. So it's the khaki, which looks phenomenal on everyone. We have like 500 sets of twins. But I'm a big fan of I've always loved the Coast Guard uniforms. I've always thought that they looked great. But when I was here, I studied logistics because I like puzzles, and that's what logistics is. But we have folks that focus on engineering, both on ships and on land, maintaining large fire trucks, fire department search and rescue trucks. They maintain cranes at large construction sites. They maintain, sometimes trains. We also teach mechanical engineering. So, water systems, hydropower, offshore solar power, wind power. So there's, we really cover a lot of different arenas, if you will.
Yeah, I really like the oceanography, which is what I wanted to study. And by the way, you have the prettiest campus, I must say, in the CSU system. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to hear now from Laura, because I think AmeriCorps ties in really well with some of those jobs as well. And we're excited because we actually had someone that we hired recently from AmeriCorps, and he's worked out so well. So
great.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very honored to be amongst this great group of panelists and women on Women's Day. So we were celebrating that earlier. So I am the Senior Program Manager of AmeriCorps National Service. I'm employed with Napa County Office of Education, and we are the administrators of 2 AmeriCorps grants here in Sonoma and Napa County. One is Expanded Learning, which places members in schools to tutor and mentor youth. And then our other program places members in nonprofits throughout the state of California to help build their volunteer programs and build up the volunteer infrastructure so the community can be more engaged throughout the state. I was an AmeriCorps member myself. I'm going to back up and explain AmeriCorps for those that might not know. You've probably heard of Peace Corps, and that's, where you go abroad to serve in a different country for a year or 2 of service. And AmeriCorps is basically the same, but at home, right here at home in the United States. So it's kind of, we refer to it a lot as the domestic Peace Corps. But members serve any amount from 3 months to a year dedicating service. In exchange for their service, they get a monthly living stipend and they earn money towards college. So our programs, a full-time member earns $10,000 of education award that you can put towards school, future school, or paying off student loans. So it's a very great professional development opportunity. Members can join straight out of high school or after college or anywhere in between, or seniors join us as well. So we have all ages. It's very diverse. And I was a member I started after college when I graduated and didn't really know what I wanted to do next. Peace Corps seemed a little bit too scary and far away. And so I learned about AmeriCorps, and it really set me on a path of public service. And I worked in nonprofits for about 15 years all over California. And now I get to help support about 160 AmeriCorps members throughout the state. So love that about my job. I take, I feel like I'm helping support and inspire future leaders of public service and social justice, and I take that very seriously. So I love working with young people and helping find their paths, because a lot of people are in AmeriCorps kind of searching for like, what is it that I want to do? And AmeriCorps is an opportunity to have that, to explore, and learn more about yourself while you kind of figure out what's next for you.
I love that. And I love the idea that you could get your student loans deferred, which is really nice for so many students. Well, let's go on to the next one and start again with Corey. In terms of skills, this is a job that it's really easy because you've got so many skills and interest, and you can really develop those along even prior to getting into a career with, like you were talking about, Explorer programs and other volunteer and training opportunities, fire camps, and so on. So can you tell us a little bit more, Captain Corey, about the skills in your job?
Yeah, so within the fire service, we have a large variety of skills. As was mentioned, we cover, besides extinguishing fires, we also have a fire investigation. So we have an entire bureau dedicated just to preventing and investigating fire. We have swift water, so we do some boat rescue, not nearly what will be presented later. We have wildland, which everybody's had plenty of experience with recently, but we work with, multiple agencies on the statewide level and respond to fires throughout the state and locally. A large part of our job is actually emergency medical services. So we have advanced life support, which is our paramedics, and we have that on every single engine. We do not have ambulances in my department, but there are fire departments that run ambulances as well. And most of these skills you can get certified in or get academies and get trained in through the Santa Rosa Junior College. So we actually have a huge resource for training and education right at our own junior college locally. That's where most of my education has come from. And we do a lot of the training consistently throughout our entire career. So even though I have over 20 years in the fire service, I am still signing up for classes and learning new skills. So I can even change my mind about what my focus can be, and I can decide that I want to learn how to do urban search and rescue and learn how to break through concrete and rescue people if there's an earthquake. So I have the ability to kind of try out new things and get my hands on tools that you're not going to see anywhere else.
Well, I love it that we also welcome other fire departments from other areas of the Bay Area when we have disasters. And having so many wildfires in the last 4 or 5 years, it's really been amazing. Of course, I still cry when I see a fire truck go by, and my granddaughter always says, "Thank you, firefighters." But it's wonderful that there are so many skills and so many different areas that you can focus. Thank you so much. Petty Officer Lopez, a little bit more about the Coast Guard and some of the skills that you need for your career. And of course, you're going to tie into that a lot more now that we just kind of opened the door on all of that, because they do have a lot of similarities. I think you're muted.
Okay, yes, sorry about that. So basically skills for the Coast Guard, it's going to be obviously, you want to serve your country, you want to give back. So, and I think that's pretty true for any military branch of service. So it's going to be, wanting to give back, flexibility, the desire to learn and to train and learn, new skills that relate to whatever job that you want to do. So, we have everything from administration jobs. We have a damage control job, which is basically our firefighters. We have intel jobs, just kind of a little bit of everything. So it's really just being open to learning new skills. We're kind of a jack of all trades as well. So, you know, even though your job is specifically in one field, you're probably going to learn a lot more than just that specific job. So it's a lot of education, a lot of hands-on education. Let's see, we have, let's see. What else was the, sorry.
No, that was about it. But interest in skills and you know, if a student has those interests and skills.
Oh, yes. So I would say an easy way, if you're maybe thinking about the military in general or the Coast Guard, we have something called the Coast Guard Auxiliary. A lot of the members of the Coast Guard or Auxiliary are either retired Coast Guard members or retired members of the maritime community who still want to give back. It's a volunteer branch. A lot of people don't know you can actually do it when you're in high school too. So it's an awesome way. You're directly involved in our missions. A lot of the Coast Guard Auxiliary boats that we have are kind of our second. If we don't have the resources to conduct a mission, like maybe someone's stuck in the harbor or a search and rescue mission, we use the Coast Guard Auxiliary to help us out. So it's a volunteer, you're not getting paid, but you're involved in what we do and you really get that experience. And so that's a really cool way to get involved and learn more just about the maritime community, and the Coast Guard in general. And then for college, we have a lot of college programs that pay for your college and you get a commission. Cal Maritime's a huge one. We go with a lot of our applicants come from Cal Maritime, so we work with them a lot. So there's a lot of different, depending on what path you want to take. But
Perfect. Thank you. And Jessica, talking about, again, the license for the U.S. Coast Guard out of the Marine Transportation Department at Cal Maritime. Could you talk a little bit about that? But also, could you talk about admission requirements? What are the minimum?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. So one of the biggest things to mention about our affiliation with the Coast Guard, outside of what we call the military reserve options, like the Coast Guard commissioning programs, the Navy and Air Force ROTC commissioning programs, and then a specialized naval program called the Merchant Marine Reserve. Our affiliation through the Coast Guard license is not necessarily a pathway into the military. The Coast Guard, in addition to providing all of these other services, she was mentioning about administrative work, which is a lot of the behind the scenes, what makes all that action and operations happen is they are the regulating body for any persons who want to work on vessels. So similar to how the DMV are the ones who set kind of the rules of the road. They're the ones who say, if you want to go out and get your driver's license, these are all the steps you have to take. The Coast Guard are the ones who set that for driving on vessels, large and small. So the smallest fishing trawler, tugboat, ferry, all the way up to the biggest container ships and cruise ships that are out sailing the international ocean. So our marine transportation program teaches students how to drive ships, big and small, and it comes with the license for a third mate. It's called an unlimited third mate's license, which means those graduates are qualified to work on any size vessel and any body of water. It's kind of like a universal or like an international driver's license. It's a big deal. And then on kind of below deck on the operation side, you have our engine program. So we have marine engineering technology, which is running the engines of a and the overall system. So like the water treatment plant, the power generation system. So the power plant on this ship, because they're like floating cities, that comes with what's called the unlimited third assistant engineer's license. Big key being unlimited. That's what you get from a maritime academy versus coming up the hose pipe. So going down to the harbor, the marina, and kind of working your way on deck. It takes a lot longer versus going to a 4-year state school like a maritime academy. One thing I also want to mention is I was listening to the skills that you'd need for the fire department and just for fire and search and rescue and everything, and you need with military. I also want to mention communications. Both of these fields require the ability to communicate with other people, the ability to communicate with other departments and understand kind of your role in a big process, because I feel like there are so many job descriptions and so many industries out there where it's not just one person or one department, like one small office who is making something happen. They're relying on help from other departments. They're relying on help from sometimes people across, the country, across the world, thanks to the internet that can happen. And so communication and the ability to work as a part of a team and have leadership skills is crucial. It's something we emphasize at Cal Maritime, but it's something I do want to stress you can get through any of our military branches, and you can get through any type of really structured employment opportunity, like going into any type of active public service, like fire department or police or public works.
Great.
Admissions requirements.
Oh, yeah.
Exact same thing you need to get into Sonoma State, SF State, San Diego State. We are a Cal State. We're just the smallest. We're the most specialized. I put a link to our majors, our admissions requirements, our spring open house. That's all in the chat. But basically, everything you need to graduate from high school is exactly what you need to get into Cal Maritime. There are no extra hoops to jump through. You don't need a congressional appointment. You don't need to pass, a physical fitness exam. You don't need letters of recommendation. It's nothing like that. It's simply about making sure you have the academic preparation. So we need C minuses or better in all your classes, and making sure you have a competitive GPA. So we're looking for a 2.5 or better.
And you haven't made a decision yet. The CSUs haven't made a decision yet about an SAT or an ACT requirement for freshman admission.
No, they have. That actually came out about mid-pandemic, because we're not quite at the end of it yet. So the CSU system, so all 23 campuses of the CSU system and all 11 campuses of the UC system, like you've got UC Davis, UC Merced, we are what's called test-free. We're not even test optional. So that means that for admissions purposes, so to get into the institution, we do not look at SATs or ACTs. So if you do not take a standardized test, you will not have a disadvantage. You will not be compared in that manner. They will only be used for math and English placement. So it helps us put you in the correct math or English class. That's the only thing we're requiring.
Great. Thank you for clarifying that. And Laura, you've got such different skills in your career and for the people that you're working with. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that might lead to also different interests in different degrees as well?
Sure. I yes and no. I think we actually have a lot of similarities and skills, and just an AmeriCorps member is passionate about making a difference and helping people, and I see that in all of the careers shared here today. The great thing about AmeriCorps is that you don't necessarily have to have any skills coming into it. Like, that's a lot of what we do is professional skill development and support, and really kind of help bridge the gap from either high school or college to a career by providing sort of a supportive environment to explore different careers. So those that are looking to go into education, you get some hands-on experience working with kids, and you learn all about how to tutor and social emotional learning, throughout the year in a very supportive environment. I always say the most important skill and character trait we look for in our members is just passion to make a difference and an ability to work well with others and be on a team. I think that just goes a long way, a commitment to inclusion and diversity and working with all different sorts of people, taking initiative on projects, and bringing yourself to the table is really what we're looking for and what we help to develop in our members.
Excellent, thank you. And then we're going to go on to the next question. This is a little like having a crystal ball or so. What do you think your industry is going to go through changes, or where do you see your industry changing in the next 5 to 10 years? Corey, do you want to start with that?
Sure. I think the next 5 to 10 years, the fire service is going to keep adapting. In my time here in the fire service, it has changed dramatically. Even just over the last 20 years, I would say that the change in our culture is pretty dramatic. I think it kind of ties into one of the questions that was put into the question and answer, is that we are a diverse workforce, and there is equal equality between gender and race, ethnicity, all of those things. And that's only going to improve in the fire service. We are looking to mimic our community. So that's something that I think is going to be amazing to watch. It's already been pretty amazing what's changed. We also have constant changing and adapting to technology. So not just that we're bringing more technology into our everyday work, but that we have to adapt to that as well. So when a new car comes out that's has hydrogen as its main fuel source, that affects how we're going to deal with an auto accident. So we are constantly having to pay attention to a wide variety of things. What are people building their houses out of now? With when the Tubbs fire, the glass fire came through and took out a large chunk of our residential homes, the new construction that was put in its place will change how we are going to be able to operate in a new house fire, or trying to just evacuate somebody out of it. So we have a lot of changes coming, but we've always been adapting. And that is kind of part of our credo, I guess, is that we adapt and overcome, and we're consistently flexible.
Petty Officer Lopez, what can you add to that? There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, so it's funny that phrase adapt and overcome, we use that all the time in the military. So that's a very familiar phrase to me. You know, you adapt to a situation and then you overcome the challenge. So I can definitely relate to that. As far as my time in the Coast Guard in the past 12 years, it's definitely changed a lot. It's kind of the same lines. We're focusing so much on inclusivity, diversity. We definitely are just trying to have a lot more women and minorities in leadership positions, whereas that wasn't really the case so much when I first joined. So that's been really awesome to see the Coast Guard, just adapting to a changing environment and really trying to be more inclusive. Basically, we just try to always find a better way to do things. So, every year we do surveys, if you will, for each of your units, and it's supposed, it's completely open and honest, and it's anonymous. And so at the end of the surveys, we say what's working, what's not, what can we do to make these changes. So on a yearly basis, we're always trying to make improvements just on what we're doing. As far as the jobs that we have, we actually just got news that we're rolling out a new cyber job for the Coast Guard. It's an enlisted job. So, keeping up with technology and the times, cyber awareness and threats are very real. So, we're trying to adapt to that as well. So we're going to have a whole new job for that. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going to be doing it, but it is pretty cool. So, but yeah, so it's just really like adapting and overcoming.
Yeah, that's amazing. I never think about the Coast Guard with cybersecurity, but you got to have it everywhere.
It's awesome. It's everyone's super excited about it. So,
well, Jessica, can you tell us a little bit more about how students would get involved? What kind of? I know you do a time at sea, and that's a big part of Cal Maritime. But also, can you tell a little bit more about some ways that students might get placed in internships, or students might get placed in different opportunities besides their time at sea?
Yeah, and I also want to address the 5 to 10 year outlook, because we're constantly looking at that, because our program is designed to be 4 years. You come in from a community college, it can be shortened in most cases, but cybersecurity is a big thing we're looking at as well. Like our Global Studies and Maritime Affairs program, cybersecurity is a huge focus. And then on the maritime industry side, I don't know if you know this, but it's really easy to hack a ship. That's scary, because container ships are big and they don't stop very fast. And so there have been cases where someone hacked a ship, and the ship was really relying on its radar for its positioning, and it thought it was much farther away from shore. It wasn't. And thankfully, it only ran aground. It didn't crash into anything that caused, infrastructure damage. But that's a big focus we're looking at. So there's going to be, a change in our curriculum to address that, because of the job opportunities that are opening there, both in the civilian field and in military branches. You have, for example, climate change. Every single one of our majors is focusing on climate change and how it affects our industries, because every single one of us is affected by climate change in some way. And so mechanical engineering, they're looking at, a big focus is on energy design. So solar, wind, more recently was miniature wind power. So like miniature wind turbines on top of buildings or like houses. And more recently, since they're going to be building massive offshore wind turbine farms, so the really, really big, tall wind turbines, mechanical engineering is shifting to the offshore support. You have oceanography, of course, looking at, the study of the entire ocean and everything that's affected by it. So climate change plays a large part of that. So we're focusing on data collection, both designing actual devices to collect the data, as well as, the practice of going out and monitoring those pieces of equipment, and of course interpreting all of it. So that's going to be a big play. There's going to be a big demand for oceanographers in the next probably 2 to 3 decades. And then last but not least, with marine transportation, they're looking at learning similar to, adapting to technology. All the technology is coming out to kind of create vessels with less human error, so more autonomous vessels, or working with the technology and upgrades so that they're prepared for those types of attacks. But in terms of hands-on, so we're an experiential learning experience. That's a duplicate phrase. We make sure that our students learn by doing, but they also reflect on what they're doing through lab reports or group discussions in their classes. So we require that all of our students, every single major, completes at least 1 internship. Now that internship might be on land, it might be with a company like General Electric, or it might be with the Santa Rosa Fire Department in their logistics, helping coordinate relief efforts across multiple different counties. It might be sailing on a ferry, it might be sailing on a container ship, but every major does at least 1 internship, and every major does an international experience, but not all of them go on board the ship. Actually, less than half of our students sail on board that 500-foot training ship, the Golden Bear. So mechanical engineering, business, global studies, oceanography, they don't go on board that training ship. They actually do an international experience where they fly to another country. So these kind of summer hands-on experiences, in addition to the labs and the simulators and just all the projects that they do, it actually leads to just phenomenal job opportunities. So we have a 90% employment rate. We do have the highest employment rate in the Cal State system. It's a little unfair. We're the only maritime academy west of Texas, and basically our territory is Alaska all the way down to Hawaii. Think about all that coastline, all those inlets, all those different ports. Like just here in the Bay Area, we've got Port of Redwood City. Didn't know if you knew that was one. I didn't know that was one. And I grew up right next to Redwood City. Port of San Francisco, which is more of a commercial port. You've got Port of Oakland, Port of Stockton, Port of Sacramento, Port of Benicia, which is where, if you like Kia cars, they come in Benicia, which is right next door to us. So there's plenty of opportunities. And we're one of those, the focus on the hands-on experience is how we parlay that into employability.
Thanks, Jessica. That's a lot of information. I know more now about that than I ever did. And then Laura, there's changes coming up, I'm sure, in AmeriCorps and your program. What do you guys see coming up in the next 5 or 10 years?
Sure. AmeriCorps has a long history of responding to disaster, working right alongside wildland firefighters, as well as American Red Cross throughout the country. So we expect that to continue and even ramp up as, more severe disasters are coming our way, more focus on climate action. There's several AmeriCorps programs focused on climate action. And the environment and public health as well. We're fortunate that AmeriCorps is always a little subject to whatever administration is in place. We are currently in a great place where there's a lot of investment being made in AmeriCorps. We, during COVID, we were right there along next to first responders throughout the country, helping with food security, vaccination clinic support, all kinds of senior support services. So AmeriCorps is always just adapted to the need at hand, and that will continue going forward as well. There's also a much bigger emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and how do we make the AmeriCorps experience more inclusive and equitable so everybody can have an AmeriCorps service year if they would like to, and don't have to have a certain level of privilege or foundational support in order to be able to serve for a year. So there's a lot of investments and focus on that as well, which is really exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish everyone could take advantage of that. And then we have probably time for this last question, and then we'll have to go to questions in the Q&A. So thinking back to when you were in high school, what's one piece of advice that you would like to give to the students today, those that are listening or those that are going to watch this later on? Anything, Corey, that you'd like to tell that?
Yeah, I would say take advantage of as many opportunities as you can. Diverse opportunities and experiences will really benefit any career you choose. So in the fire service, we live together. We eat all of our meals together, and it's fun to have a diverse group of people and learn from them. And when we show up to an incident, we're responding to people in their worst crisis. It's nice to be able to relate to them and not just have, don't live your life in a tunnel. Go out and do other things and try things and play sports and all those kinds of things. So go out and get a diverse background.
Sounds great. Jessica, anything that you would like to say to the students and give them some advice about?
Professionally and personally, my answer is actually the same. Like I said, I went to Cal Maritime, and we're one of the most specialized. I mean, we're this most specialized campus of the Cal State system, but as a result, it is a unique college experience. We wear uniforms to class, kind of like a private high school experience. You don't wear uniforms all the time. There's no bed checks or lights out or anything like that. But we also ask more of our students. The uniform is kind of like showing up to a job. You wear a uniform to your job, you wear a uniform to class. It's just going to be a different looking uniform. But because of the kind of uniqueness of our program, we get a lot of students who dismiss us initially, and I'll see them 2 years later after they've either gone to another institution or they've worked for a little bit, and with a little bit of growth and getting some life experience under their belt, they realize, you know what, this is the pathway to what I want to do. So this is a program I want. So I would encourage folks, and I understand if you've fallen in love with another college, that's okay. I won't take it personally, but keep an open mind when you're looking at, when you're listening to people talk about their jobs, when you're listening to people talk about the industry that they work in, and how they got there. Keep an open mind that it's not always a straight shot, and that there may be like a particular major titled this one thing, but that doesn't mean that there is only one thing that you can do with a degree in that program. A lot of the time, a bachelor's degree, regardless of what the focus is a stepping point. And even an associate's degree, it's a stepping point into a whole other world. So just keep an open mind and be willing to kind of hear things about these opportunities, because down the line, a light bulb may go off for you. It may take a few extra college fairs and a few extra job seminars, but there's a light bulb waiting for you from one of these sessions.
Great, thank you. Kristen, any advice that you would give to our current high school students, or what you would have liked to have known when you were first starting out?
Oh, there's a lot I wish I had known for sure. Honestly, going off of what's already been said, is just keep a super open mind. How do you know what you're going to like unless you try a little bit of everything? I wish I had done that. I wish I'd been more involved, done more programs, volunteered. Highly recommend finding a mentor. If you think you might be interested in the maritime community, just for example, finding someone that you trust and you communicate well with, and really just getting a good solid mentorship from somebody in a field that you respect, and maybe you might want to follow their footsteps. So really just communicating and getting involved as much as possible, because who knows, you might find your passion, and then you kind of have a little bit of direction where you want to do. So I wish I had done that, and that's probably the number one advice that I would give for sure.
Yeah, excellent advice. And Laura, have you got something that you can pass on to our listeners?
Yeah, I would say just that you don't have to have it all figured out. I think we put a lot of pressure on young people to be like, decide your major and decide your career at like 18. And I think that that's so unfair. And I remember when I graduated high school, I actually kind of felt like I knew everything. Like, I'm going to major in this, and this is what my whole life's going to look like. And then I got into college and graduated college, and I realized I didn't know anything. And I was like more lost than ever. And I just want to normalize that for everybody, because it's okay to not know. And it's actually like a lot of everybody has said, like, to stay open to possibility. And I just, as I tell my members, just do the next right thing for you. Like, what feels like the next right step for you, and trust in that journey that it will take you where you need to go. Just keep following your nose and trusting your gut would be my advice.
I love that. Wish I'd had that advice when I was that age too. Well, I think that's it. We're going to go to Kim Handel again from Maria Carrillo High School, and she's been monitoring all the Q&A. And please, students, if you still have a question and you'd like to throw it in there, please go right ahead. Kim, you want to turn your, there she is.
Here I am. Yeah, so we have a couple questions. One of them, I think was partially addressed by Captain Rickert and Petty Officer Lopez, but so the question was, in your line of work, would you say that the treatment is equal between men, women, and people who are non-binary, and also between people of different races and ethnicity? So maybe Captain Rickert and Petty Officer Lopez, if there's anything that you would add, or maybe about your personal experience as a woman in fields that are traditionally dominated by men, and also any advice that you would give to students from underrepresented groups.
You can go first.
Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, let's see. As far as the Coast Guard, like I said, we are always trying to just diversify, and, you know, we're constantly evolving. So as far as my experience, I have not been treated differently for being a woman. I haven't been given any extra benefits or been treated negatively. As far as the Coast Guard goes, I think we're pretty much the same across the board as far as that goes. So I can't say that I've had any like negative experiences or anything like that. And I think we're only trying to improve upon, you know, upon that. So you know, for me, it's been a good experience, and
that's good to hear. Thanks. And then, yeah, what about you, Captain Rickert?
I would say, so I started in the fire service pretty young, and it was a different culture. And I was, you know, an 18-year-old female. I think the biggest advice is to find mentorship, find people that are in your shoes and they don't have to look just like you. It's usually good to get a wide variety of other people's experiences. And stick with it. I was able to become an instructor at the fire academy at 19, and I found my own footing doing that. So it kind of boosts your confidence to just keep going. And it doesn't exist really where I am at working for the Santa Rosa Fire Department. I have not felt that I am treated any different. The expectation is just as high for me as it is for my male colleagues.
Great. And then I know Jessica and Laura, I don't know if you guys have anything to add in terms of opportunities for women or people from underrepresented populations.
I definitely do. Maritime industry, the United States maritime industry is by far the least diverse in the world. When you look at mariners around the world, you really have there's just a large gap between the amounts of our diversity in many ways. And so there's a lot of room for growth. That's the way that I look at it. I've been in this industry for about 15 years. There's a lot of room for growth. And a big part of it is that the growth and the change is happening. A lot of it starts at the maritime academies because I personally think the amount of people who are coming through the academies who are saying, no, that's not the vibe. Basically saying, I will not tolerate being treated differently. I will not tolerate being, having standards that are different. For example, our uniform standards. Previous generations of uniform standards where there was only, dual gender. You had uniforms for males and uniforms for females. And the maritime academies have recently made a big change. So this not only benefits our non-binary cadets, but it also benefits our cadets who don't need to necessarily have religious exemptions for like grooming standards or hair standards for longer hair for some of our male identifying cadets. So, and then you have just our historically marginalized communities. There's more support going into the maritime industry because of the Maritime Academy, because there's awareness being raised about their struggles and the challenges they face and support that comes here. So they take that support and they go into the maritime industry. And like I said, they don't stand for less. And the more people you have taking that stand to say, this is where that status quo needs to be raised to, it's what drives the change overall in the industry. So a lot of these conversations are happening at the school level at high school, and they're continuing into college, and those conversations continue with those persons, those folks who are active in their communities and having those diverse experiences. They pass them on, whether it's in the workplace or in their, you know, their hobbies and their extracurricular activities. So that change continues with them. So
awesome, thank you. And then Laura, I know you kind of already talked about efforts to recruit, you know, students from different backgrounds. And we are getting close to 12 o'clock, but I was just going to ask you, Laura, if you have anything else that you would want, you know, students to know about AmeriCorps, because I know it's a program that, you know, a lot of students aren't really aware of. So.
Yeah, thank you. I would just encourage you I put a link in the chat to learn more about our local AmeriCorps programs. And then there's AmeriCorps programs throughout the state. So any interest you have, there's probably an AmeriCorps program that would be a great entrance into that, to learning more about that. We definitely value diversity and inclusion. And, you know, we do a lot of work with our members on developing themselves and their confidence. So when they do encounter the systemic issues that are throughout our society, that they're empowered to speak voice and have power to that. So that's a big part of what we do as well. And I just encourage anybody to kind of explore and consider an AmeriCorps service year, and reach out to me anytime too.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think we are at 12:01, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But I just want to thank all of our panelists so much for sharing your experience and your insights with us. And thank you to all the students and teachers who tuned in. And then real quick, I just want to do a plug for our next session. So the last session of the day is Technology Careers, Design It, Build It, Play It. And that is at 1:30. And you can register for that on the CareerFest website, which is, I put the link in the chat. And there's lots of other good information that our panelists have put in there. So check that out real quick if you haven't already. And thank you.